Well, if you struggle with anger, blow-ups and blowouts, there are some major misunderstandings that are driving your experience. Transformational specialist Angela Hardy is here to chat to us about these and to give us some tools to manage our anger. Angela, welcome. Thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you.
Now, anger is a thing that I think we all deal with. Even the most peaceful of us at some point in time deal with anger. But for others, it's a common occurrence and it flares up all the time. Where does anger come from in our bodies, in our psyches, in our minds?
Well, that's actually quite a big question. There's a lot of reasons that people get angry, but for those people who spend a lot of time being angry, whose anger is actually problematic in their lives, causing problems in their relationships, in their jobs, this is a habit that they've developed really as a self-defense mechanism against the world.
Okay.
And as I knew when I was a child, the best method of defense is attack, right? So when those people learn, oh, when I'm angry, other people behave in a certain kind of a way in regards to me, it becomes this default method of dealing with things that make us feel unsafe, that makes us feel unhappy, disrespected, uncomfortable. We use anger then as a way to make other people jump.
Right.
And when I'm getting at you, you're going to be like, okay, just calm the situation down, how high? And so it's a really good manipulation tool apart from anything else, but that is an unconscious understanding. And so we have this unconscious understanding that says, I can get what I need if I respond in this way.
Okay.
But then there's also this unconscious misunderstanding that says, I'm not okay and I need something. And so responding in this way is a way to get what I need, but the underlying thing is I'm not actually okay.
Yes, yeah. Well, I've heard a philosophy that says that all emotions in life are rooted in either love or fear. And if you're fearful, a way to hide that first of all, or to make yourself feel a bit better about things, is to potentially lash out. But now, why is it that some people will go so much further than is reasonable just to control the situation? Throwing tantrums, getting almost aggressive in certain ways. I mean, what is that possibly a sign of?
It's really just a way that they've learned how to behave. It worked for them at some point. You know, the unconscious mind is so interesting. It's always looking, how do I survive? How do I get what I need? How do I survive? And in every experience, it says, oh, that does work for me, that doesn't work for me. And so for those people who got a little bit extra aggressive and they found, oh, somebody backed down dramatically, the unconscious mind says, that works for me, I can get what I want here. So the more they have these experiences in their early childhood or even young teenagers, the more it sort of settles into the unconscious mind as the only way to approach life. It's the only way that I can make myself safe. It's the only way that I can make myself heard. It's the only way that I can make myself feel like I'm in control of a situation. And so they use it to this nth degree because, one, they get away with it, and two, they feel really uncomfortable or really unsafe, and they're not even aware that that's what's bringing up the anger. The first they know about it is there's a really deep feeling of anger in me. And so other people respond if I lash out in this manner.
Yeah. And is it something that you see also sort of progressing over time? So you say that it's something so deeply rooted. So it starts with something small, but then gets bigger and bigger as time progresses. And how also can you curb that to soften it down over time again once you maybe recognize it in yourself?
It can sometimes get worse. I mean, I've certainly seen in my clients that there are people who start off as a moderately angry child and escalate into abuse, into hitting people, into verbal abuse, into all sorts of kinds of abuse. And it's not that they're not good people. That's the irony of it. They are good people and they actually do want the best for their families or the people that they're busy vomiting all this anger all over. But in that moment where that rage fills them and they allow it to take them, they don't know how else to respond. They don't know what else to do to help themselves. So it's very interesting actually working with anger. You don't have to moderate it over time at all. When I work with people with anger, it's almost an instantaneous fix, and it's a fix for life.
Oh, wow.
Because what I don't teach you is how to find a way to stop in that moment and breathe in that moment and count back from 10 or hop on one leg and turn circles. There's no methodology to manage your anger in that moment. What I teach is actually that misunderstanding that lies below. I don't need this anger anymore if I get rid of the misunderstanding that drives the anger. So that's actually the way to get rid of anger, is to get rid of it from that base level of, it serves a purpose for me. Well, if it no longer serves a purpose, I wouldn't use it.
Yes, absolutely.
And if I no longer have a purpose for it to serve, I don't need it.
How does that bottling up of anger and emotion also impact people over time?
You know what's interesting about the mind is that the prover proves what the believer believes. So the more I use anger, the more I feel this anger come up because the world seems very unfair or very unsafe or very unkind towards me, the more I'm proving that the world is indeed very unfair, very unsafe, and very unkind. And so I always then respond, and it gets quicker and, you know, more eventful as time goes by.
A lovely, nice way of putting it, more eventful, yeah.
Right, so it's, I'm sort of creating this pattern by proving to myself, oh, I am unsafe, and this is the only way I know how to get right.
In terms of the misunderstanding that you speak about, I think often people talk about misunderstanding a situation which may cause an incorrect reaction. But just let's clarify your idea of misunderstanding there. Is it me misunderstanding or being misunderstood or misrepresented in a way? How does that make sense?
When I speak about misunderstanding in relation to anger, I'm actually talking about the underlying belief system that drives our behavior. So if I have a misunderstanding, for instance, this is very common with anger. My understanding is that I'm unsafe. The world is out to get me. Everybody's got some agenda, and I have to protect myself all the time. This is a very, very common misunderstanding for people who suffer from anger.
Okay.
So that's the kind of misunderstanding I'm talking about. If I believe that to be true as a truth of life, then the response to that is going to be, I have to manage it. If I believe I'm perfectly safe, whatever people's agenda is not my problem, I don't have to do anything about it, I don't have to protect myself from it, there's nothing that has to happen here, I don't have to react or respond at all.
Okay.
So when I'm talking about misunderstanding, it's these things, the I'm not safe, I'm not loved, I'm not lovable, people are out to get me, people are judging me all the time, all of this kind of internal chatter misunderstanding, that's what I'm talking about.
And what about people who lash out and then immediately feel some sort of remorse? So a little while later they'll come back to you and apologize, but then do it again another time because that's their default reaction. Like, how do they get out of that cycle? What is the starting point to really correct or self-correct?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting, right? The thing that we have to understand is not the anger or how do I manage it in the moment. That's irrelevant. Anger, like any emotion, is a momentary thing that comes and it goes. The thing that we have to understand is, what is it that I believe that gets this anger to come up in the first place? What do I believe about myself? What do I believe about the world? What do I believe about the rules, the society, the environment? What do I believe about who I have to be and how I have to show up? These are the things that we look at to get rid of anger.
Yeah.
Because anything else is just managing a symptom in the moment.
Absolutely.
And once our anger is high, we're really quite bad at managing things in the moment, right?
And you also can't look into yourself when you're in a state of complete madness.
And you don't want to. Let's be perfectly honest. When you're angry, what you want to do is you want to go over, give somebody a good fat clap and make it their problem. You don't want to manage yourself in that moment.
Yeah, it's very interesting because that's also, it's the thing of going deep when the waters are calm.
Exactly.
As opposed to when there's a storm brewing.
Exactly. You want to get deep understanding when the waters are calm of the misunderstanding that creates this on a constant level. You want to understand yourself as an individual and then get rid of that as a problem. So if I got rid of my lack of safety, if I fundamentally knew that I was always safe, anger would not be an issue for me if that's what my anger is based on.
Yeah.
If I fundamentally knew that the world was not out to get me, I would never have to respond with anger. If I always knew that the rules that I make up about what's right and wrong and how you should behave and what should be going on here are my rules and not your rules, and I don't have to worry about your rules and they're not going to be the same as my rules, and that you disrespecting my rule is not disrespecting me or dishonoring me or being mean to me or being unkind or unloving towards me, I wouldn't have to respond with anger.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the response is based on my misunderstanding, and I have to look at all of these things that say, this is the thing on which I react because it feels like this to me, and I've understood it completely incorrectly. It feels like this, but actually your rules are your rules. That's got nothing to do with me. You know what I mean?
I think so much in life we take things so personally.
So personally.
When the person, as you said earlier, just nobody else really cares. You know, it's our little bubble, it's our little world, and we just need to know that we're okay there. So, Angela, thank you so much. I think that there might be some people out there who feel that there are a few things to consider, and maybe look a little bit deeper in themselves and gain not control of their anger, but just an understanding of themselves as well.
Yeah, well, look, this is why there's so many people available to help with anger, because it's actually very difficult to find that thing within yourself, because you can't see the forest for the trees, right? So you need to look at yourself in terms of how you think the world works, how you think you work in the world, who you think you are in the world. You've made it all up. It's not true just because you thought it. But when you look at those things and possibly have somebody help you look at those things, that's when you really get the insights that go, oh, didn't need this, wasting my time here, wasting my airtime. Life could be so much easier. And it is so much easier when you're not angry all the time.
Absolutely. A little bit of peace and calm never hurt anybody.
Lovely.